Hey, I wanted to make a video today to talk a little bit about how you can use a combination of OCLIF, GitHub Actions to auto-generate all of the installers for Linux, Windows, and macOS. So I wanted to just give you a quick video to show you how you can do that. It's not that hard, and it just requires a little bit of setup to get everything working. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. And by the way, if you like these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I can do more videos like this. So I have this OCLIF project here, and one of the things that's nice about OCLIF, it creates a very easy way for being able to create CLIs based off of Node.js. The only problem is that if you want somebody to be able to use a CLI that doesn't have Node.js installed, you have to create an installer to do that. And so they have a option in OCLIF with their own command line tool where you can do something called pack. So you can do packing for Linux, Windows, or macOS. Packing for Linux is really using a Debian type package. So it's OCLIF pack deb, but everything else is like pack when for Windows and pack macOS for the Mac. And so the one thing about the Mac is that it requires a little bit more configuration that you'd have to do for Windows or for Linux. So if we take a look here, this is a package.json inside of my OCLIF application. And if we look down here, there's this whole OCLIF section down here. And the one thing you need in order to be able to create the installer for the Mac is you have to create a macOS section here, and then there's they're looking for identifier, and then I gave it the name for this one. I gave it a name for an identifier for this CLI, and then there's this property right here called sign, and basically what that is, it's if you're going to install any type of software on a Mac, Apple wants you to have a certificate, preferably one issued by them. And so in order to do that, that's actually one of the trickier parts of being able to do this. You actually have to use something called keychain access in the developer portal to request authorization for a certificate, and then what they'll do is they will give you a certificate. So I want to show you the process of how to do that. So if I come over here and we take a look at my keychain, you can see I already have this certificate here, but I'm going to show you the process that you use in order to create this certificate. So what you do is you come up here to the keychain access menu, you go to certificate assistant, and you see right here there's this option here called request a certificate for a certificate authority. And then what you do is you put in your email address that you're going to use, and then there's this option right here called save to disk. And what that lets you do is it's going to save a actual certificate request, preferably to a place that you have access to. And so I'm going to go ahead and select continue here. And when I do that, it comes up with this dialog for saving. And so I'm just going to come up here. I'm going to say third-party certificate signing request and click save. All right, so that's done. So now I've done that, the next step is to actually come to the developer portal. So to get to the developer portal for Apple, you have to go to developer.apple.com, and then once you're there and you're set up with an account with Apple, you select the account menu option here, and then you come over to certificates, and there's this option here for adding a new certificate. And so what you do is you come over here and you would select this Mac installer distribution certificate. And you can see right here, I've already exceeded the number of certificates that I can have. But just to kind of show you what this looks like, I'm going to pick another option here. And then it allows you to choose a file. And so I can come over here. I can go to my desktop. Yeah, my desktop. And here's the third party, and I would upload that and then hit continue, and it'll give me an option to download that certificate. Now, once you've downloaded that certificate, you just double click on the file that you download, and what it's going to do is it's actually going to create a certificate right here inside of your keychain access. So if you look right here where it says login, just like my certificates, it should show up in the list of my certificates after you've opened it up inside of Keychain Access. So that was the tough part. The next part is in your GitHub repo. What you have to be able to do is you have to have a way of being able to essentially copy the certificate into the GitHub action. And so if we come here and we take a look at the GitHub Actions, if I come over here, to create a GitHub action, all you have to do is create a GitHub folder, a .github folder at the root of your project, and then you put another subdirectory called workflows in there, and then you can put the action inside of there. And the action is just a YAML file. So if you come right here, we can see that I have this YAML file. And without getting into all the details and stuff about all the different ways or all the different stuff that you can do with the YAML file, I'm just going to show a couple of things here. So I have this set up right here so that it's going to respond to any time a release is created. And once a release is created, I'm going to have a job. And for this job, I'm going to use something here called matrix. And they have this whole concept of matrices that you can use. The idea is that you can apply one GitHub action for multiple different things. So that could be different releases, like you might have like a staging or developer release and you want to do all those things at the same time. Or it could just be for different operating systems, which is in our case. So if you look right here, underneath our strategy, we have this fail fast, and then we have this matrix. And in the matrix, we've got 3 targets set up. We've got one for Win for Windows, one for macOS, and then there's another option here for Debian. And then inside of here, if we scroll down here, you have different steps that you can take inside of your job. And I have some things that run here specifically for the different operating systems. So for these 2 right here, for the apt update and for the app install and NSYS and P7zip and all that other stuff, I have that specifically set for Linux. But then I also have this one step in here that I've named install the Apple certificates. And so what this is doing is this is actually looking for the secrets that I'm going to save to my GitHub repo. So the way you do that, for that certificate that we would save out, what you have to do is come here to your Keychain Access. I'm going to expand this. So you can see here there's the certificate, but there's also the private key, right? So if you highlight both those items and then you contextually click on it and say, I want to export these 2 items, it gives you the option right here to save this out as a P12 file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this third-party certificates. Click Save. I'm going to tell it to replace this one here. And then I'm going to give it a nice secure password. All right. And when I click OK, then what it's going to do is it's going to save that out to my Documents folder. So if I come back into my terminal, right now I'm at kind of a couple levels deep. But if I come over here to this terminal right here and I run this command that I have right here, it's base64-I, third-party certificates PB copy. What that's going to do is that's going to copy this P12 file I just saved out as a base64 string to my clipboard. So I just do that. Now I've done that, I'm going to come over to, this is my GitHub repo for this project. And if you go under Settings, you can go to Secrets and Variables, and you can go to Actions. And one of the things you can do here is you can create a new repository secret. So I could have called that, I'm going to call this, my, we'll call this my cert as an example. And then I can come in here and I can just paste in the certificate in base64 form. And then now it's available as a secret inside of the action. So when I go to run the action, if I come back here and we take a look at our actions, I can see here that I have these actions that I've run. I can come over here, and if we look at macOS, for example, we can see here that it went ahead and it created a certificate. And the way that works is we come down here and we look at this one step right here. It says install the Apple certificate if the matrix target is macOS. And then what I'm doing here is I'm setting up these environment variables. So I've got one for the certificate, which is a base64 string. I've got one here that's the password, right? So I saved the password as a secret as well. And then if we look over here, what we're doing is we're actually taking a path or we're creating a certificate path, and then we're using these security commands in here to actually take that certificate we just saved out to the file system, the runner, and actually store it into the keychain access. So once it does that, now that developer certificate you need in order to create the build will actually be used when OCLIF needs to go and do the build. And so that's what you need for the macOS part. The other parts are actually pretty simple. I have some additional steps that I'm taking in here because I've had some quirky things happen between using NPM versus using Yarn. I found Yarn works better for packing stuff in macOS, and NPM will work just fine, or NPX will work just fine on Windows and that sort of thing. So hopefully this helps you if you need to be able to produce all these different installers for all the different operating systems if you're using OCLIF. Let me know if what your experience has been of being able to do this. And I'm going to include a link to a blog post that I made that describes all these different steps in detail. So you missed something in the video, or I missed something in the video, you'll be able to use the blog post as a basis for being able to do this. And I just want to add one more thing. I forgot to mention